Hello, and welcome to the Simuldub Saints, your guide to seasonal anime dubs. I'm your host, LaserKid, and with me, as always, is my trusty co-host.
Hello, I am Archangel, lover of cat girls.
You've been listening to our theme song, Wherever I Go, from friend of the podcast, Ampren. Please check out their awesome music, link in the description.
This episode of the Simuldub Saints is sponsored by the fine folks over at Lexcorp. More about them at the end.
Saving us from the alien menace. Thank you, Lexcorp.
Indeed.
Alright, well, in the news, the first bit of news is that Elusive Samurai dub we talked about last time is out, and we watched it.
And it looks to be an interesting and fairly goofy show.
Yes.
It is historical fiction, but it's on the less serious end of things.
Well, until something really awful happens. Which
Right,
is
it's,
from history, so...
Yeah, at one moment it's all goofy light, and the next it's almost like a slideshow, and it's like, all these people were killed. This woman was violated and murdered and beheaded, and it's like... And I'm just thinking of that meme from Anchorman. It's like, wow, that escalated quickly.
Yes.
That really got out of control fast.
What I want to say, though, is goddamn, the voice actors nailed it.
Oh, yeah.
The psychic guy, he is funny as hell. And I love it when he starts monologuing to himself. He's like, well, I don't know.
Well, yeah, because, at the one point he's goofy, and the other, he really takes this stuff seriously, because when he's monologuing, he's really thinking. You can
tell. He's like really serious. Do I say that, or is it my place to put him in that direction? It's like, wow, all right. I do like our main character. He's a very energetic kid who lost everything, which, ouch. Props to the voice actors. Fantastic dub. Very interesting show in general. I recommend it.
Yep. So just two brief comments about it. One is that you can tell I've spent way too much time playing Shogun 2 Total War. Because when we started immediately, right in the intro, there's on the MC's clothing, it's blue with then a white Triforce looking thing on it, and so it's like, ooh, Triforce, and I just took one look, I'm like, Clan Hojo.
Yep. And then we watched it again with our friend R-Dragon, and he did the same thing. He's like, ooh, Triforce, and you're like, Clan Hojo.
Yeah, because they're a playable clan in Shogun 2. So there's that. And the other is that this is a much better setup to an Assassin's Creed game than whatever Ubisoft have come up with.
This would actually be a really cool setup for an Assassin's Creed game, I'm not gonna lie.
Oh yeah, because the MC is all about, parkour and running away and being sneaky. And
not only that, this is doing the thing that Assassin's Creed likes to do. The guy who betrayed the clan, and this is the obvious villain here.
Oh, yeah.
He's the guy historically that's looked at it in a good way.
Right, so...
But we turn him into the bad guy, that's a twist.
Why did he betray? What is it the service of? Obviously, he's a Templar. And then his kid is contacted, winds up in a shinobi village that's a clan of assassins, and there you go. Go fetch. It's not that fucking hard.
You go.
Ubisoft. Maybe, I don't know if the guys who did the Ezio trilogy are still there, but for God's sake, get them back if they're not. Anyway.
Pulling away from Assassin's Creed, because we are not the video game saints, although we could certainly do that.
There's a whole nother issue I have with the modern series, but let's not get into that.
Yeah, both of us could talk games probably all day, but that's not what we're here to do. Editing LaserKid here. We have some breaking news as I edit this, and there's no way we're not going to talk about this. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to reach Ark in order to talk about this, although I know he'd have a similar somber tone to me right now. Unfortunately, we have lost a legendary voice actress. Rachel Lillis died of cancer at the age of 46. Way too young. Rachel Lillis was an absolute masterclass legend, voicing Jessie and Misty in Pokemon most popularly. To me, she will also always be Martina from Slayers Next. Pour one out for Zolmo Gustar. Rachel Lillis, thank you. Thank you for all of the amazing work you've done. that we've all gotten to enjoy. And I'm so sorry that you're gone. That's awful. She was literally 3 years older than me. That's really sad. And I don't know what else to say other than thank you. Thank you so much for everything you did for us as anime fans. And farewell. Next piece of news. Crunchyroll has unveiled their own little Fast channel. For those that are unfamiliar, Fast is free, ad-supported TV or television, typically done over the internet. The biggest example, of course, is Pluto TV, which is one of the services the Crunchyroll Fast channel's on. These are like actual almost cable channels. Like it's scheduled TV. And they're running this on Freevee, LG channels, Pluto TV, the Roku channel, Sling TV, which does have a free tier that's all Fast channels, TCL TV Plus, Vizio Watch Free Plus, and Zumo. Amazingly, I've heard of all of these. God, I need help. But
Well, okay, you're the guy who actually bothers hooking up to your local cable still, or to your local broadcast TV.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, I'm not too surprised.
I don't pay for cable because screw that. But I do have a TV.
Yeah, no, I misspoke. I meant the broadcast.
Yeah, no, I know what you meant. I'm just clarifying. I like free TV. It's a nice option. But on that Crunchyroll channel, they are running several shows. Both free. I don't want to get hurt, so I'll max out my defense. One of Ark and my favorites, Buddy Daddies! And yes, I will always say I like that. Code Geass, Darling in the Franxx.
Yeah, Code Geass, the biggest waste of potential ever.
Oh gosh, I was gonna try and not comment on it, but yeah, not my favorite.
Oh, yeah.
Eureka 7 AO, Astral Ocean, the sequel series to Eureka 7, which I have thoughts on, but we'll save that for some other time. Hormia, Log Horizon, which is rather surprising to me, but hey, gotta get into that database. And if you know, you know. My Dress Up Darling, Psycho-Pass, which is that's another choice. Good first season, at least. Ranking of Kings. Now, that's the best thing on here. Don't even at me. Ranking of Kings is amazing. Although giving it a run for its money is Soul Eater, To Your Eternity, and Yu Yu Hakusho. And then there's an and more, which basically they're going to put whatever they can on there. Which, hey, if you're someone who likes to just watch whatever is on, and I feel that there is a mood for that, if you're feeling anime and you don't know what I want to pick, this is not a bad option, and it's free. So that's pretty cool if you ask me. It's a nice that they're doing that. So there have been other anime fast channels. The biggest one that I would really point to before this would be Retro Crush, which they have a lot of older stuff, so they get a lot of discotheques releases, but they also have just, a couple media blasters and stuff. If you're not checking out Retro Crush, not only do they have their own fast channel, which is completely free, they also have their own little on-demand section, which they have both free and premium versions. But they have all kinds of stuff. They've got Astro Boy, Mega Knight Ray Earth, the 90s Street Fighter cartoon. Not that you'd want to watch that, unless you're me and bored. But they got a lot of cool old stuff. I don't know why I turned this into an ad for Retro Crush, but here you go, Retro Crush. I'm giving you flowers because you're awesome.
Well, it is our job to give people information about anime, so it fits.
Indeed. Our next bit of news is that ReZero Season 3 is coming in October, and they give us a really cool visual for it. At the end of this month, on August 30th, I assume in Japan, but maybe in the US, they're going to actually put it out in theaters for the premiere. Although they will also run that on TV in October. I've been waiting a long time for Season 3 of ReZero, and people who are listening to our podcast, you've heard J-Mac on here before. You haven't heard J-Mac until you hear J-Mac talk about ReZero. You know how when me and Kuro are talking Blue Exorcist, it's mostly Kuro, and I just kind of chime in. Yeah, it's going to be the J-Max, the insane ReZero guy. If you want an idea how that is, check out our older podcast, the Dumb Weaves podcast, which may yet live again someday if V-Lord ever gets less busy. But we talked about ReZero seasons 1 and 2 over there, and whew, J-Mac has thoughts.
Okay.
Next up, High Dive fixed their shit!
Ish.
No, they actually did. They actually fixed their shit. It's at least back to where it was.
Yeah, which it's better, certainly.
But
they fundamentally need to redo their UI and basically just rip off Crunchyroll or something.
It's to me, it's usable at the point where it's at.
Barely.
You don't even know all the things it did. So it's back to where it tells you when shit's coming out, and it tells you what's the newest episode is. So if you're like us and you watch simulcast dubs, that works. And if it's not a simulcast dub, it'll actually will track your history for you, and you can watch the newest episode on the homepage, which is nice. But the big thing that they did that makes me happy is they brought profiles back. So, as far as I'm concerned, they fixed their shit. Now, would I like better? Sure. Always would like better. But I'm calling it fixed because they broke it, and they fixed what they broke.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. I'm just not a fan of the way they do their UI at all, even now.
I mean, I'm not a fan. I used to like their site better than Crunchyroll because it fucking worked. And I'm happy with it now because it works again.
Okay. Well, speaking of sites not working anymore.
Yeah, pour one out. I don't know why we keep having to say end of an era on this podcast, but it's another end of an era. The Cartoon Network website has shut down. If you try to go to cartoonnetwork.com, it's just going to redirect you to Max. That's just really sad. There are so much things that were on that website. They had free episodes, ad supported, of course, but they also had a lot of just history on there. There were a lot of old Flash games on there. There was a lot of documentary stuff on there. That website was a huge repository, and it's gone. It is another end of an era, and god damn it, Zaslav. Why do you keep fucking up everything?
Probably doing the thing like the cable guys from South Park as he's listening to this.
Well, no, Warner Brothers Discovery had... these are the same guys who made an entire movie about Wile E. Coyote suing the Acme company, completed the movie, had a huge hype around it. It's like, I'm gonna write off the tax write-off and destroy the movie. And I know from reasons that I can't talk about, they were offered a lot of money from other places who would rather have run it rather than see it destroyed. And the amount of money that they wanted, that they asked for, was obscene. They just wanted to destroy it. And
Warner Brothers, in the latterly, Warner Brothers is one of the worst entities in Hollywood, which is saying something.
Since the merger with Discovery, which is what put Zaslav in charge, it has been worse than usual.
Okay,
they're just gutting everything.
Fun.
Yeah, it's great. So yeah, that's another thing gutted. This is right off the heels of them gutting the. This was more understandable, but still sad. They also recently gutted the online Boomerang streaming service, which I never understood why that was separate from Max in the first place. So I understood why they do that and just put all those cartoons on Max. But the thing is, they haven't put all those cartoons on Max yet, which, oh, come on, guys.
The streaming service actually costs money. Hosting a website does not.
I mean, it does, but not really.
Pennies per day.
Yeah, it costs money, but not enough to really care about.
Yeah.
I mean, it did have videos and stuff on there, but...
Still. For the amount of traffic something like that would have gotten.
Yeah, I think that's probably why they shut it down. It's certainly not as popular as it once was. It was certainly kind of drifting in the ether, as it were.
Okay. Well, anyway.
Anyway. And the last bit of news. Netflix lists the Gundam Seed Freedom anime feature film for September 1st, which is nice because if you missed it back in May when it was in theaters, now it'll be streaming. I do hope this includes that dub because that was released to theaters back in May, but the news I'm finding doesn't say one way or the other. I wish I could be hyped for this movie, but it includes Destiny in its timeline, and I really don't want that. Oh, well. I'll probably watch it out of just sheer curiosity to see if it's any good. But that's our news.
Okay. So, on to today's primary subject, which is quality assurance in another world.
Wow, what a show. This one kind of took me by surprise. I didn't know what to expect, but I did not expect what it is. I didn't really look into it. I just had the title and, like, some key arts and such. I thought it was going to be very different. I thought it was going to be one of those isekais where, you get the goddess going, hey! In this case, hey, can you help me quality assure my world? That's what I thought this was. That is not what this is.
And I still say that's a hell of a concept for a show.
It would be. It certainly would be. But instead, this is sort of like someone's beta testing Sword Art Online.
Yeah, it's a VR game. These are professional QA people who were logged in and were told, here's what you got to do, and, file your bug reports with these stones that technically also let you access debug mode if you really need it, but you shouldn't because it's dangerous.
Right. Well, I mean, basically, if you need it for some reason, use it, but, you could break the game. So don't do it unless you really have to.
Yeah, which is dangerous because you're kind of in here. And then they found out they couldn't log out.
And so a lot of them started messing around with debug mode and getting themselves stuck in things. Our protagonist, Haga, is pretty much the only one left who's still doing his job.
And to be honest, it's kind of it's his coping mechanism. He can't adjust to what's happened, and so he's taking... He also seemed like someone who had no life to begin with.
I would agree with your take that it's a coping mechanism, but it's equally as possible this man's a workaholic.
Like I said, no life. And so he seems like, the perfect Japanese salaryman where, the job is everything.
He's not quite a salaryman, but yeah, I get what you're saying.
That mindset.
By the way, Haga is voiced by Blake McNamara, who is Lugner, who's the I'm a very refined demon in Freeren. Of course, he's lying, but the guy who presents himself as very refined.
He's entitled to his delusions, yes.
Well, it's not his own delusion. He's lying on purpose to confuse other people.
Oh.
You don't remember that guy?
I do, but I always thought it was him, trying to think he's better than he is.
No, he was trying to put the humans into a false state of security, always intending on killing them.
Ah, okay.
Like, he literally was like, "Oh yes, my father also," and then the lady one's like, "What's a father?" She's like, "I don't know, something to make them lose their guard."
Okay.
Anyway, he's also the main character of Liar Liar, Hiroto Shinohara, which I'd say between all three of these two and Haga, as well as several other things that he's credited for. Dang good choice.
Certainly nailed the character.
Oh, yes. Haga's very fun to watch and very entertaining to listen to. But he's getting himself, as we open up, stuck in from what I can tell, like an introductory quest, where he's trying to see if he could save this town or save an NPC from this town that's doomed to die.
Yeah, he was just testing he was looking for exploits and all different things.
And so he wants to see, can I break the game? Can I save these people? Is this possible? And if so, I need to write a bug report because they're not supposed to be saved.
Mm-hmm.
And in the process, he meets our next major character, Nicola, who is voiced by Monica Flatley. We've talked about her recently because she is Shasteel in An Archdemon's Dilemma, How to Love Your Elf Bride, and of course, Rouge Red Star in Metallic Rouge.
Yeah, and another virtuoso performance. So Nicola is an NPC.
Yes.
Cute villager, the sort of NPC you'd pat on the head and think no more about normally.
And she gets actually really interested in what Haga's doing because he's trying to kill some dragons, and she gets stuck around that area, and she's like, "Hey, what are you doing?" And he's like, "Oh, I'm doing." He has a cover story. They all have a cover story. The QA testers, that they're on a surveying quest for the king, and they have things to prove it and everything. So she's like, "Oh, that's really cool. I want to do that." So she's on him like glue.
And he just at first he's kind of humors her because he's pretty sure she's going to die along with the rest of the village.
Not pretty
but
sure
then
she knows.
Doesn't.
It's heavily implied that he has gone through several loops of this.
Oh yeah, Biddy, he actually said so.
Yes,
he said, "I've seen you and your village die so many times, but she survived this time for whatever reason."
Well, she doesn't at first. She just straight up dies, and then she pops back up. Hacks,
like,
hacks!
Okay. Yep, and he doesn't have the heart to. We learn later. I think it's Tesla who actually did it.
Oh, absolutely, it's Tesla who did it.
We'll get to her.
We'll get there in a minute. But he doesn't. You're right. He doesn't have the heart to argue with it, and
so he takes her on as an apprentice QA tester, and she has no understanding really of what's going on. But he teaches her what to do, and she does it.
Mm-hmm. I like her. She's
very comical.
Very sweet.
Oh god. Want to adopt.
Well, this leads into someone I want to smack because they run afoul of two other QA testers. Sakai, voiced by Kyle Ignacy, who is Mitsuke Saruwe / Sariel in Delta Part-Timer, the the angel / I run Kentucky Fried Chicken. Please marry me, leader of McDonald's. I'm fat now. And
the pudgy creeper angel, yeah.
Well, in season 2 he's pudgy. In season 1 he's not. And then Jin Elmir in I'm Villainous, so I'm taming the final boss. That's a funny typo. Taking the final boss.
Oh my!
Cedric is the one that our heroine in that show is originally supposed to marry, the blondie.
Oh right.
Who he starts off as just insufferable, but he gets better over time. This guy can totally. Damn, your voice creepy guys well. Goddamn, my props. That is a skill.
And he's turning in a virtuoso and supremely hateable performance here.
Oh my god. This guy is definitely the guy to watch for the antagonists. But along with him is the equally, I'd say almost humorously evil Sumida, who hilariously is Dick Gumshoe in the attorney anime. But then, more along the lines of this, is Radi's Spirito in Black Clover. That dude is just like, oh yeah, I just like hang around naked women and abuse them. And I'm also an idiot.
So this group has basically gone full psycho Dark Lord mode because they are treating the NPCs like they're not people. And the hell of it is, the simulation seems to be sophisticated enough that, at least to some degree, these NPCs are people. At least they suffer and feel and stuff, and so it's what they're doing is incredibly fucked up.
It's really similar to Infinite Dendrogram, where the AI is so complex. They are, like you said, they're sophisticated, and also we know from later on, if you die, you die. If they die, they die. They don't come back.
Right. Yeah, they are for all intents and purposes people. So basically, it's the whole thing. If you want to know what someone's really like, give them a little bit of power. These people have failed their humanity check, and as far as I'm concerned, they should just be slaughtered.
I can't necessarily disagree with that, given what they do. But Haga manages to outsmart them because they are on a recruiting drive for other beta testers, and by recruiting, you will join us or we'll kill you.
Mm-hmm.
Haga manages to outsmart Sumida, who gets thrown out of bounds and is falling forever.
Yeah, and he takes his debug stone, so he's out there with no access to the console, and he's falling through the infinite void below the level. And good fucking riddance to him.
Yeah, sucks to suck. Bye, asshole.
Yeah.
And Sakai runs off and to go get help, and he's terrified and everything. It's like, all right. Hug is like, all right, I'm gonna go find my friends, who I couldn't find much information on in terms of stuff. So the TLDR is he takes Nicola to go find his friends, the other debuggers who came in with him. They got bored, just like everybody else, and they turned on their debug mode, and they flew around, and they got themselves stuck in the... They really screwed themselves up. Like, they're stuck in the environment, and they can't get out.
Ways, yeah. So we should mention that these are different teams of QA people from different outsource firms. So
Haga and his people were for part of one group. Sakai and Sumida were part of a different group. And there are other groups out there as well. There's a bunch of them.
Yeah, but we've only really encountered 2.
Yes. When we get to that second group, Nicola gets taken over by an AI and eats one of their stones.
Yeah, the one he took off of Sumida.
Was it that one? I thought it was one of his friends.
I'm pretty sure it was that one.
It might be.
I'm not going to. That's the only. But besides Haga's stone, I think that's the only one they've come into possession of.
Well, there was also Haga's teammates who are kind of stuck. And that's who I thought she ate the stone of, but it could have been Sumida.
I don't remember. Anyway, the point is that all of this thing that possesses Nicola, to all intents and purposes, is able to use her to literally eat these debug stone things.
And Tesla is the AI in charge of the game.
Or one of the 3. She's the overall AI, but correct. She's limited in what she can do.
And she's reaching out, and of course Haga is too dumb to be like, hey, why can't we log out? Much to my frustration. Literally, that question is not yet asked, although, basis of other questions that get asked to Tesla that get completely ignored, I suspect that answered question would be completely ignored.
Yeah, Tesla's the sort of person to where she doesn't know the answer, she'll pretend the question wasn't asked because she doesn't like to seem dumb. She seems kind of immature, honestly.
I get a similar feeling, yes. And just kind of, it's like, how do we summarize? Oh, we'll get to that later.
Yeah, she's also kind of a jerk because she really, really likes to eat in Nicola's body, but she always eats way too much and leaves poor Nicola with a tummy ache, which is just mean. Nicola.
But that gives Haga his quest to hunt down the stones of the rogue testers and get them destroyed so they can't hurt anybody anymore. And at first, he's not really on board with this, but the more he sees the abuses that are happening, the more he's like, yeah, no, screw these guys.
Mm-hmm.
And that leads us to the leader of the other faction, a President Shako, who is voiced by the legendary Robert McCollum. A long list of credits here, but you'll understand why I put so many when I go through here. Sensui in Yu Yu Hakusho. Doflamingo in One Piece. Pathé O in Heroic Age. Kazuma Yagami in Kaze no Stigma. Mifune in Soul Eater. Jalal in Fairy Tail. Stain in My Hero Academia. Rainer Braun in Attack on Titan. Oh, and he's also the teenage voice for Goten and Dragon Ball. Just a few minor roles, really. And that's just scratching the surface, by the way. This guy is everywhere and does amazing work everywhere. And know what's amazing here. This guy's interesting to me because at first he comes off as this overlord of evil vibe.
Mm-hmm.
But the more and more we see him, the more he's just like, this is stupid.
Yeah, well, he's reached the it's like the best way to trip up a villain, a simple villain who's like, I'm going to take over the world is to ask them, and then what?
And
he's reached the then what stage.
And then he realized,
he can't even actually get drunk because the game doesn't simulate drunkenness on your consciousness.
Indeed. So that's... Well, we'll get back to his quandary here in a little bit, because it gets interesting. But the next major event for us is Haga and Nicola come across a town that's not on the map.
And is completely unfinished because everybody is just floating around T-posed. So it's a town of incredibly dominant NPCs.
They're praising the sun.
Yeah. I like the T-posing for dominance meme, but you know.
I prefer the praising the sun meme, but you know, pick your meme.
Same difference, yeah.
They're all floating around in T-poses. And
it's adorable.
Oh, it's funny
because,
as hell.
You know, they're still manipulating stuff normally in the world, but there's no animation.
This game.
So it's the funniest fucking thing.
This is the only anime I've seen where I'm stuck in a video game that takes advantage of the fact, oh, you're in a video game.
Oh yeah, you can tell whoever wrote this has played a lot of broken video games.
Oh yes. But yeah, no, this feels real. They're of course that gets debugged and fixed very quickly, and then they start moving around like normal. Well, pretty quickly, our heroes run into two major characters.
Well, but before that, they actually start putting in debug reports for this.
I just mentioned
and
that.
The next, did you say they got fixed? I missed that.
Yes, I did.
Okay, I'm stupid. Carry on.
It's okay, but I forgot that it took a day though. That's what I so good mentioning it anyway. But yeah, they're running around and they're like, okay, and then they see a little furry guy wandering around with a T-pose. Like, why? I thought we got everybody. And then everybody's like, wait. Oh.
Yep, and he sees them, doesn't know them, and it was they go over to talk to this presumed NPC to, you know, get his name and log him. He freaks out, turns invisible, yells at them, turns invisible, and runs away.
Of course, Haga manages to track him down anyway, but you know. And
he leaves pretty obvious footprints, so yeah.
But this furry is named Amano, who is voiced by Anthony Bowling, who is my favorite character in Devil Part-Timer, Shirashia, all CL, and the cat Sakamoto in Nichijou, amongst many, many other roles. Another fantastic voice actor.
Yes.
Like, this voice acting cast is stacked. Everybody in here is amazing.
Yep. So yeah, apparently, you know, whatever little fluffy creature, so he's about waist high on the average human. Apparently it's a like an Elin type thing where, you know, it's all fluffy, but it's like a player race that's a little different. Because all the QA testers picked an in-game avatar of one sort or another as if they were a player.
Mm-hmm. Well, they managed to follow him, and he is hanging out with an NPC named Rue, who is still T-pose because they didn't find her. She is voiced by Danny Chambers, who's Lee Juhee in Solo Leveling, and Chisei Hattori in Ancient Magus Pride. Oh, and by the way, also written and banned from the Heroes Party because, you know, much. We can't have too much awesome, except for we can.
Yeah, so this lady is an NPC, and her job in the game is apparently to issue a freeform quest, which is just to tell a story. She's laid up in bed. She can't really get out and about. She's chronically sick. And so it's, you know, to all PCs, it's like, you know, please, could you tell me a cool story? And she'll accept just about anything because the AI can actually evaluate people's stories. Which I think is really, really cool, and I want to see that in a real RPG someday. But so Amano, we should probably start at the beginning with Amano. He was with the group. He was with the company of assholes, led by Shacho. And when they started going off the deep end, he just noped out of there. He actually left his debugger stone with them, so they'd know he wasn't a threat, and he just noped out and wound up with Rue, and he'd always had an ambition to be a mangaka, but no one ever told him his stuff was any good. So he just drew some stuff, started drawing a story for her, and she loved it.
It must be good, though, because Nicola gets to read it, and she's captivated, too.
Yeah. I believe it. So he basically enters into this arrangement with Rue where she provides him room and board and paper and ink, where in exchange for him writing manga for her, and it's a very happy arrangement.
Outside of initial misunderstandings, where there's a little bit of hostility, once Amano knows, oh, you guys aren't actually after me, and Hog is another tester, but he's not with that group, and okay, we're friendly. Everything seems fine. Except that Haga was spotted by somebody, and so Sakai is back to hunt him down, and he basically just trashes the house that they're in.
Yeah. I think Shacho actually shows up as well, riding one of those big dragon derp dragons from the beginning.
I think you're right.
Yeah, so both the bad and the big bad show up and don't manage to kill our three party members, namely Paga, Nicola, and Amano, but
they do kill the NPC Rue. Ow.
And so Amano, of course, reacts perfectly sensibly by saying, okay, I'm going to kill all these motherfuckers.
Well, it's heavily implied that he actually fell in love with Rue.
Oh, yeah.
Heavily implied.
I don't blame him one bit. She was well, even if he wasn't in love with her, she was his best friend.
Yeah.
She was family by that point. And so regardless, he's like, okay, I'm gonna kill these motherfuckers, which I think is a perfectly reasonable response.
Given what they just did, yes, absolutely.
Yeah, well, also just their actions in general. And so, he's the one who's probably gonna get stuff done when it comes down to it. So, I like it.
I like him too, actually. I like all of our I like our main character. I like Haga. I like Nicola. Like Amano, and I really like Rue too. I'm sad that she's dead, and they make a point of it. She is really dead. There's no bringing her back in this game. She is. Yeah. They have some sort of an afterlife system, so there's a ghost somewhere probably, but she is gone.
Yeah, the NPCs don't respond, which is why the game takes the killing of an NPC very seriously. Players will be in big fucking trouble if they do that system-wise.
The problem is that our assholes are basically using their powers to prevent that from being a problem for them.
Yeah, they're cheesing the system basically.
They're using their debug powers.
Yeah, but yeah, they won't get into how they're getting the guards off their back. But it would be hilarious if we weren't dealing with thinking so horrible people.
Like we see some of these guys, like there's more than the ones we've named. I just don't feel like naming literally all of them, but they literally torture this monster they captured to death, and they just I accidentally killed it. Oh well, it's like some real sociopathic behavior.
Oh, totally. Yeah, these are real scum.
And apparently, quote unquote, all the smart ones have left us. Gee, I wonder why.
Some people like playing the villain in a video game, and that's fine. But it kind of reminds me of a quote that
if these NPCs weren't literally built to be like people, if it was just literally a video game where whatever.
It reminds me of a quote that as far as evil campaigns, that a good person will put a mask on to play an evil character, and a bad person will take theirs off.
That's a fair enough point. Regardless, yeah, things get interesting. We got to get into that base. Well, they're all over the place, but there are ways around this. And Haga, the bug tester extraordinaire, knows a way to get them there quickly, and our buddy Amano has an invisibility spell, which you put these two together, you beat the shit out of a treasure chest, you stand on it, and it'll send you flying.
Yeah, they don't need to use debug mode. Basically, he uses a physics exploit. It's hilarious.
That's what I love about Haga. He doesn't need debug. He just deals with the bugs.
Mm-hmm. It's almost like a Batman thing where he doesn't have any superpowers technically, or rather chooses not to use them, but he's still the most OP person because he's smart.
If he does turn on his debug mode, he's going to be scary.
Depends. I don't know how much he knows about it.
That's fair. He knows enough
Yeah.
about the game, clearly.
Right. It's, I will say from my own experience with Baldur's Gate 2, fucking around with debug can actually give you quite a feel for a game engine over time if you have nothing else to do. Me being a bored kid, I did so much random shit with it back in the day because I spent years worth of my life playing that game. But anyway.
Yeah, well, they're heading into the base of these other debuggers, Bale Castle, and they managed to trigger an instance, which is actually good because that means they really won't get spotted.
Mm-hmm. Well, they're in a different reality.
Yep. They're literally the show trolls you. Oh, we've got him, sir. Oh, good job, NPC.
Yeah, and they are in a jail cell.
And they're
in the thing. So you think,
and they're in the exact jail cell that what's his name? Sakai is looking in, but he's looking at like some monster that they've captured that they're gonna try and extract it from.
Yeah,
which it's like, oh wow, instance really helped them there. What doesn't help about this instance is that somebody was really naughty on the dev team.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my god.
Yeah, there's like a boss that apparently is was supposed to be a torturer, but instead is some sort of like S&M thing. And there's Nicola finds a bunch of weird batons all around.
Yeah, weird batons that are totally pixelated for no reason.
Yeah, wibbly pink batons, yes. And so they write up, and so in the middle of a boss fight, he's dictating a bug report about how this is not appropriate for the game's rating.
Huh? You look so scared. I'm only gonna you, you sloppy hole. Unless there's something else you'd like me to do to you. I could take your bow bags and maybe pump her with my tongues.
It's so fucking
so
stupid.
amazing. I love it.
Oh
well, I think that guy is just
show.
like saying some really inappropriate shit with nice sensors put in to make it sound even worse.
Yeah, well,
I'm gonna grab your beep.
Yeah, well, the beeping actually makes things funnier.
I know.
It's like my favorite test case for this is if you watch the skit from Robot Chicken with Palpatine taking the phone call from Vader after the Death Star's been blown up. The censored version is infinitely funnier than the uncensored version.
I didn't know there was an uncensored version.
Oh yeah, there is, and I hate it because all he's doing is going, fuck," and it's not funny. But then when it's beeped out, it's hilarious because your brain just inserts.
My personal favorite one is the Song of the Count.
The which?
Sesame Street.
Oh
Song
yeah,
of the Count.
The censored count. Yes, I really love to beep. That's so a good one. Yeah.
That's my yes. Censorship beeps make it funnier. But what's even better is Haga apparently.
I beep myself. Yes.
Yes, Haga apparently. So they meta on this. I'm also like, I can't understand what he's saying, and Haga's like, unfortunately, I can, which means it's really bad, and he's got a really thick Scottish accent. I didn't find out who voiced this guy, but whoever you are.
You earned your money.
You earned your money. You were amazing. Oh my god, I laughed so hard.
Yes.
Oh my gosh. So they do beat this guy. And then they come across a weird spider Nyan Cat combo monster. I can't remember what they're called.
Well, they'd found one earlier, which, I mean, it looks terrifying, but the way it's behaving, I almost kind of want to pat it on the head.
Until it tries to eat you.
Well, I guess it's behaving almost like a dog that wants a pat, but we're pretty sure it's going to eat people. We've seen them eating people.
We've seen it try to, so...
Yeah, so anyway, it was kind of tied up like a pet, and it's
that
like,
was the boss.
Poor it was the boss before the torture, yeah.
Well, no, you're jumping... You're thinking I'm jumping further ahead than I am. The one that's tied up, the one that's in chains, is after they deal with this guy.
I'm pretty sure it was
before. And he's after because they have to find a way out from there, and they have to kill him because he's the boss.
No, because remember the candle was burning down during that for the timer for the bombs was burning down during the fight with the Scottish dude.
No, it's burning down when they have another fight.
I'm pretty sure you're confused.
Because they have another fight that's after that they have that's burning down when they're fighting it. They hadn't run across that yet when they fought this thing. They fought this guy when they were trying to get out.
I'm 99% sure that you've got the order wrong. But
Well,
anyway,
one of us has the order wrong. Whatever.
Go watch it.
At
Tell
any
us
rate,
who's wrong.
it doesn't really matter. The point is that if this was before we already covered Scottish Fight Dude, which I'm pretty sure was before this, but either way, this is the next important plot point. Is you run into this thing, and when they kill it, that's going to end the instance. So they're going to try to kill this thing using a timed bomb, so that they can get out and hide where the boss man is, jump him, grab his debug stone, destroy it, so he can't do anything.
Mm-hmm.
This is actually
The
not
theory
bad.
being that the theory being that once he's taken care of, the others will lose any cohesion and be easier to deal with.
It's not a bad theory. I mean,
Not at all.
Shako appears to be very much in charge, so that is not a bad theory. Except for we see while they are doing what they are doing, we got a mutiny being led by Sakai going on here. That's what they don't know, but we, the audience, do know.
Yeah, they warp in right in as.
Let's not jump that yet. We're not there yet. You're jumping way ahead.
Not really, because you brought it forward to the.
Well, I was just saying that was. They have their talk about that, but then we switch back into the characters who are dealing with spider monster thing, and they find a way to sneak out, except for Nicola falls in the water because she's kind of dumb.
She's clumsy.
She's clumsy, but they say, but the incredible athleticism on Haga. He saves her, he saves Amano, and then he gets out himself. Because if they'd fallen out of there, that would have ended the instance for them.
Yeah, it's a canal that, because of the way the dungeon's been messed with, would have literally just dumped them down into a very not nice place.
Yes. So, from there, they want to get out. And they got to climb up through the top. Now I'm even more sure about the order of events, because once they get past, they set the bomb with the spider. Well, first they put him to sleep. Haga's got some chemicals to put him to sleep. And I love Amano's comment, do you got like a chemical set or something? What are you?
Pharmacy.
A pharmacy with you, yes, to be a specific line. And Haga was just like, well, I'm better to be prepared.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, like it's Batman.
Yes. So they sneak out from the top. They find once they set they put it to sleep and they put a timed bomb on there. And they find a hole in the ceiling, and Haga's got to climb out of it.
Mm-hmm.
And he does. He leads them up there, and when they get into that hallway, Amano keeps bumping into things, and that creates more of the spider guys, and more of the spider guys, and more of the
Released
spider
from
guys.
jars or whatever.
Yeah.
And so it's like, okay, we're going to get swarmed.
And so,
And
go ahead. You go ahead.
well, Haga's solution is brilliant. He just keeps breaking more and more and more jars until it lags the server, and they're able to use the lag to dodge all the attacks.
Again, they're using the fact that this is an actual game. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Great.
My question is, what I would have done is it should have lagged Nicola as well, and they should have had to carry her, which would not have been a big deal for Haga, but, nobody thinks everything all the way through.
And they're going through these hallways, and Haga comments, there should be nothing here, there's no enemies, there's no monsters, there shouldn't be any monsters out here. You're not supposed to get past here. Once a boss dies, you're not supposed to be able to find anything. And there's no monsters, there's no monsters. And then they come across a boss, and Haga freaks out, there shouldn't be a boss here. This is why I'm so sure of the order of events.
That's the Scottish.
It's not the Scottish man. It is a knight.
Yes.
It is not the Scottish guy. It is like a black knight dude who sees through their invisibility.
I'm 98% sure that he was the first boss.
They fought him before they got to the spider, because he was the first boss, not the last boss who was supposed to be a spider.
Right, no,
Now
I'm pretty sure the Black Knight guy was the first.
No, they don't know. They don't know who the Black Knight is. He shouldn't even be there. They make a big deal out of that. I'm very certain I'm correct on the order now.
Whatever.
Now we've talked through where this goes, and they try and deal with this thing, and that's where they comment, "Oh shit, we have the timer. We can't finish this fight." Also, Haga can't even death this guy, and the only reason he can survive at all is because of a buff from Amano that basically takes a hit for him, and it doesn't matter. He's still getting hurt, and things are going badly, and then it literally pops out of existence. And they put that in their bug report, of course. And then they go run and hide in the box. They barely manage to get there before the boss dies. They hide in the box, bomb goes off, kills Spider Guy, and they come into reality. And that's where we see our coup. Sakai and his followers stab President Shacho. Because
they're right in the middle of going Julius Caesar on him.
And that's where we cut off.
Yep.
God damn! This show is so good.
Yep. And my immediate thought is, we've got any more bombs?
I would almost say, hey, let's. He wants to get out of the game. Let's recruit Shacho to our side. Kick Sakai's ass.
No. I'd say we just throw out all the explosives we have and hope the box survives. And if it doesn't, whatever. All the bad people are here. Worth it.
My thought process is one that comes from being an outside. They don't know what's going on, but because I know we know that he is done with the shit and just wants to get back home, he could actually make a good teammate.
I would not work with anybody who was that fucked in the head.
If he can help us get out, I would. If you know that he's if you know, which they can't know, but if you know, like we know, the audience, that he is committed to getting out at this point, I would.
Right,
with that knowledge, I would. But they can't.
Well, here's the thing. I don't want to let him out.
But regardless, goddamn, crazy shit. I really like where this is going. I love the use of actual game mechanics and the way, online games work and the story. I do like that we have interesting flavors of villainy here between, I want to see what I can do. Okay, I'm bored now. Let's get done with this, too. I'm not bored. I want to be a psychopath, too, forever, too. I'm stupid.
Yeah, I think Sakai's thing is he just likes power for its own sake.
Yes.
And having power over people.
I would agree with you. I think our their leader here, Shacho, I get the distinct impression he was like, okay, let's see what we can do. Okay, we saw what we can do. Now we're done. Sakai is never going to be done.
No.
But anyway, that leaves us where we're at. And I think that's it for topic.
Yeah.
So, I believe we have a sponsor.
Yes, indeed. We have been sponsored this episode by Lexcorp. Proudly headquartered in Metropolis, Lexcorp has been providing the world with nothing but the very finest of products and services ever since 1986. Just the year after I was born.
Ooh.
From high-tech to low-tech, from finance to real estate, the visionary leadership of Lex Luthor has been making the world a better place to live at every single turn. Now, this sponsorship is simply part of Lexcorp's continuous community outreach initiative, where Mr. Luthor gives back to the community by sponsoring deserving projects in the various arts and sciences. So I presume one of our listeners in Metropolis has put in a good word for us. So shout out and thank you to our Metropolis listeners, and also a personal thank you to Mr. Luthor and Lexcorp as a whole.
Keeping us safe. You can't argue with that.
Yep. It's good to see people doing well by doing good.
Exactly. He's such a great example.
Yep. And I wish we had more CEOs just like him.
It'd be so good. We would have no problems if that were the case. This country would be so much better off.
Yeah, Bobby Kotick could really learn a lot from Lex Luthor.
Oh yeah, can you imagine what a video game company about Lex Luthor would look like? Man, Lex Interactive.
Honestly,
let's make it happen.
Yeah, they'd probably make really good shit.
Oh God. But yeah, that's our sponsor. So, Ark, outside of Oscar Grouch's trash can, where can the people find you?
Well, I've got a temporary office in Vizima at the moment, although the place smells like you would not believe, so I would not recommend visiting me there. If you need to get a hold of me, your best bet is to get a hold of LaserKid.
Well, you can find me on Twitter at LaserKidPrime. And you can allegedly find me on Blue Sky at LaserKid, if I remember I have a Blue Sky. And you can find the Simuldub Saints on Twitter at Simuldub Saints. We also have a Facebook group linked right here on both our YouTube and SoundCloud pages, and you're welcome to join. I always post the updates when they go in there. So, those are places you can find the Simuldub Saints. Well, that about does it for this week's episode of Simuldub Saints. So we'll see you guys next time.